Well, after thinking things over, I thought I'd do a special review. I had intended to do something else special, but I figured, what the hey, I'm gonna try and do a re-review of this, see if this'll do any better. Well, I will tell you that before she was Clueless or Batgirl in Batman Robin, Alicia Silverstone was this particular kind of thing to Cary Elwes. Here's my re-review of The Crush. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Doyle, better known to as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a re-review of the 1993 psychological thriller flick The Crush, released by Warner Bros. For Morgan Creek, written and directed by Alan Shapiro, starring Cary Elwes and Alicia Silverstone in her feature film debut. Yes, I just did her films and what have you. Even though this was right at the time she had actually started appearing in videos for some of the singles from Aerosmith's Get a Grip album. Anyway, the film was released on April 2nd, 1993, and has since then become a cult classic. Though it was not that big of a success, though, but became popular through video rental market and showings on cable TV. In subsequent years, has been labeled as a cult film. It focuses on a writer who moves to a new city for a magazine job. But however, the teenage daughter of the landlord whose guest house he rents instantly makes her attraction to this guy clear and has trouble fending off her advances. And soon she becomes extremely dangerous. Anyway, now let's get into the story because this time I'm going to give you the whole story, even though I didn't do it in my original review because this was an old video, so this is a new one. Here we go. 28-year-old writer Nick Elliott secures a job at Pick Magazine and lodging in a guest house belonging to Cliff and Liv Forrester. The handsome Nick soon becomes acquainted with and frequently visited by the couple's 14-year-old daughter Adrian, who went under a different name originally, but I'll get to that later. A precocious girl who becomes intensely infatuated with him. She drops by the guest house one afternoon with a gift for him while he's taking a shower, and after he tells her he needs to get dressed, she sneaks a pink ass bare backside and grins mischievously. Adrian invites Nick to a party that her parents are throwing at their house. Without confirming that he will attend, Nick decides to stop in. As he enters the house, Nick is taken by Adrian's impressive piano performance. Nick follows Adrian to her parents' outdoor balcony afterwards. He muses that if she were just 10 years older, as she flirtatiously interrupts him, questioning what he would do. Redirecting the conversation, Adrian suddenly encourages Nick to take her for a ride in his convertible. Nick agrees to drive Adrian to a place of her choosing, a romantic, secluded area where she kisses him. Though initially receptive to this, Nick stops when he realizes he's being seduced. Without leading her on, Nick takes Adrian home. Adrian's crush on Nick intensifies, but he quickly wises up and attempts to put her off. He begins a budding romance with coworker Amy. Adrian becomes jealous and meets Amy in the woods while she's gathering sticks for a marshmallow roast and corrects her when she spots a bee's nest in a tree, identifying them as wasps in the form of a subtle warning. Adrian continues to boldly pursue Nick, sneaking into his room to rewrite his article, which impresses his boss, Michael, and even going so far to undress in front of him when he accidentally hides in her closet. Excuse me. When Nick continues to rebuff her advances, Adrian's actions become destructive. She steals his favorite childhood photo, defaces a car he has restored, and erases his computer disk. Yet, he is unable to convince Adrian's parents of her guilt. Cheyenne, a friend of Adrian's, tries to warn Nick about her, but she has an accident. At a writing school, she and Adrian attend together when Adrian sabotages the saddle on her horse. After Adrian spies on Nick in bed with Amy, she locks Amy in her dark room and empties a wasp's nest into the vents, severely stinging her. Amy survives. Nick, now convinced that Adrian is big trouble, attempts to find new lodging. However, Adrian accuses him of sexually assaulting her with evidence obtained from a used condom from Nick's trash. He is subsequently arrested. After Michael bails him out and suspends him until trial, Cheyenne tells Nick that she knows he is innocent and that Adrian has an extensive history of obsessive behavior, citing a previous crush on a camp counselor named Rick who accidentally died from eating something poisonous. Cheyenne also informs Nick of a diary Adrian kept that can exonerate him. Now I'm going to go to the ending right away. You better sub this video immediately. You got 5 seconds. So as I start counting down, continue. But if you want to, just go to the description box and fast forward to the time below. The countdown's over with. So, okay, you've been warned. Kind of different than what I did. Okay, after Cheyenne departs, Nick hears strange noises coming from the Forester's house. He investigates and finds Cheyenne banned and gagged on the carousel in the attic. Adrian confronts and attacks him, leading Cliff to attack Nick after he mistakes him for the aggressor. Adrian then knocks Cliff unconscious in defense of Nick, enabling the latter to subdue her with one punch. Acquitted, Nick goes to live with Amy in Seattle while Adrian is confined to a psychiatric hospital. Though she laments that Nick refuses to speak to her, respond to the multiple letters she has written, or accept her apologies, her doctor comments that she is making good progress, unaware that she is now developing a crush on him. In the final scene, Adrian returns to her room in the hospital where she glares at a photo of the doctor and his wife before her mouth slowly curves into a devious smile. End of story. So, what did I think of The Crush? I gotta say, I've watched this numerous times. This is easily a guilty pleasure of mine. Definitely. Anyway, this film didn't factually bomb or anything, but it just didn't do so hot. It only made $13 million in the US against its $6 million budget. Now, about the character of Adrian, writer and director Alan Shapiro based the film of the events from his own life. The girl on whom he based Adrian sued him for using her real name Darian for Silverstone's character. As a result, when the film was re-edited for television, the character's name was soon changed to Adrian. Silverstone is still credited as having played Darian on IMDb. But, however, the VHS and Laserdisc releases retain the original spoken dialogue that called the character of the name. The original theatrical trailer also refers to the character as Darian as well. But however, in the last few years, that's been changed. It's Adrian now. And I feel perfectly comfortable with that. Anyway, the film really got this big time. The film currently sits at 27% on Rotten Tomatoes. Metacritic has a mere 34 score, and audiences polled by CinemaScore gave it a C+. Variety compared the film to the film Poison Ivy with Drew Barrymore, which came out a year earlier, called it another by the numbers thriller, and was critical of lack of gore or nudity, suggesting the R rating must stand for ridiculous. Well, now we barely caught a little bit, even from the character of Adrian, but it was a body double, and I knew that would have to be right because I think Silverstone was too young was still a little underage at the time. Anyway, the Washington Post wrote, "There's something scuzzy about the whole exercise." The New York Times said it never succeeds in becoming either torrid or scary, and that is, for the most part, grindingly predictable and mechanically played. Well, I'm completely understanding about these reviews and what have you, but nonetheless, I found The Crush to be a guilty pleasure. I've watched this film numerous times, and it's pretty shocking what have you. It does turn out to be a real, well, psychological type of film, following in the veins of other films, and films that would actually follow, as a matter of fact. Okay, well, I am check. Well, I want to do some checking here. Yes, Silverstone was a little underage, so yeah, so I knew that. So I was correct. She was only 16 when she did The Crush. So now you know. Now then, for our cast, we have Cary Elwes playing Nick. I'm gonna say this is a good one of his good performances. One of the performances I liked him in. I mean, after he did some other films before this, like I know he also did Robin Hood Men Tights and what have you, and of course he went on to appear in other films, Liar Liar, Saw. All the list goes on. Yeah. Jennifer Rubin, who most of you would probably remember her as Taryn from Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, played the character of Amy. Yeah, I was surprised to see that it was her. Yes. Kurtwood Smith, who recently appeared in the original Robocop as Clarence Biker, and of course as Robert Griggs in Rambo 3. And of course, before he even got to be on that 70s show, played Cliff. Yeah, not too bad. His wife Liv is played by Gwyneth Walsh. Well, most people might remember seeing her in some things. Um, she's been in some films. I mean, well, the next year she was actually in Star Trek Generations, and she's been in numerous TV shows as well. Let's see, playing Cheyenne is Amber Benson, who later went on to play Tara on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and she went on to appear in other films and TV shows. And and Matthew Walker played Michael. Of course, the following year he would be in the 1994 remake of Little Women. He he also appeared in We're No Angels and Night at the Museum. And finally, last but certainly not least, Alicia Silverstone in her film debut before Clueless even came out 2 years later, which I am going to review that this year. Played the role of Adrian, although the character was Darian at first, but I'm perfectly comfortable with Adrian. You know what I'm saying? Okay. For Silverstone's performance as Adrian, I was actually really impressed. This was definitely a good performance. Anyway, I really thought this was so good. I first encountered a crush on TV on the Encore channels. I know it was either Encore or one of its spin-off channels. And then soon I got hooked on it big time. It does have a pretty good soundtrack and a good score from Graham Revell, who has done numerous scores and has now become one of my favorite composers. So overall, The Crush is not too bad. It has been released on physical media, and this is actually one of the only a few Warner Bros. Films that still has their logo with the Morgan Creek bit, despite most of Morgan Creek's libraries under license at Sony Pictures. Well, for distribution, not releasing. You know what I'm saying? Great. But anyway, The Crush, I think, is just very underrated and what have you. I mean, yes, if Poison Ivy had come out, we wouldn't have gotten this. And if we had gotten this, we wouldn't have gotten Devil in the Flesh a few years later. But anyway, The Crush is definitely an underrated film. If you really want to see Alicia Silverstone in her first film, then I'd say this would be right up your alley. But I'd say I would recommend you give this film a one-time watch just to be on the safe side. If you like psychological thrillers with killer teens and whatever, not killer kids, then I'd say this would be up your alley. So, what did you think of The Crush? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Continue to help support my channel, make it grow, make the views grow. Tell all your friends about my channel. Get to know me. Maybe they'd like to be a part of my Big D Nation. Share my vids with your friends if you'd like. And join me next time when I bring to you another episode of my Do You Remember series where I'll be talking about capital critters. So if you like this, check out my reviews for these other films that might have, well, psychological teens or kids. In the upper left hand corner is one of the most viewed vids on my channel, and that's the back to back reviews I did on Devil in the Flesh from 1997 and its 2000 sequel, Devil in the Flesh 2. Or go to the upper right hand corner and see my review of another psychological thriller, but it's a killer kid flick in the form of Mikey, which was released just a few years prior to this. Or if you would like maybe something else, that a recent film with Cary Elwes, you're more than welcome to check this out. But don't say I didn't warn you. It's the remake of Black Christmas from 2019. And the bottom right hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.